Hello, this is Yehna.
And this is Jessie.
We are excited to be back with another episode. Or maybe we shouldn't be that excited. But anyway, we wrestled through many different questions. But today we wanted to invite you and have a little discussion about aging and how life is slipping through our fingers. So, welcome and join us
At
at
the
the table.
table. That title sounded so dramatic.
I'm not gonna lie, I was very close to breaking into song, but I was like, that's traumatic. We don't need to do that. We don't need to traumatize our listeners quite yet. We've already done a lot of the damage.
The damage is done already.
Oh,
We're
true,
too
I
far
guess.
gone. No, as much as we were being dramatic, and again, we are in our 20s, mid 20s. We still are young. We've still got a lot of life to live, hopefully. But what we wanted to talk about and rant about was the fact that life is happening too fast and we're almost getting to that point
Mm,
where we're not the ones being taken care of. The roles are starting to reverse, where eventually we
mm,
have to think about taking care of aging parents. And we're like, what? Aging parents? What do you mean? They're supposed to feed us, take
yes.
care of us, do our laundry, drive us to
Amen.
the airport, help us with crises. And then I'm like, wait a second. I'm looking at people a decade older than me, and they're not being taken care of anymore. They're paying for their meals for their parents, they're flying their parents out. And I'm like, I am not ready to do that yet or think about that.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
So I'm going to be a baby and be taken care of for the rest of my life.
Amen.
So that is what I would like to do. But what about you, Yenna?
Ditto to that. Just kidding. My mom and dad, if they ever hear this episode, they were like, we still take her to the airport and cook for her and do her laundry sometimes. What is she talking about? Aging and roles reversing. But right now, the past couple weeks, I've been helping my mom in her job as a head chef in this organization where basically different groups come for retreats and she cooks for them. And it is a physically demanding job. I'm not even joking. I'm 25, and after 1 week, it feels like I have arthritis in my finger. Like that's
Oh
how
my
pain. Like
gosh.
it's so painful. Like I have to sleep with salon pus on my thing. It's basically, those. I don't know how to explain it in English, but basically, it's like this heating
Yeah.
to
Yeah, the
relieve.
sarumpas. Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm just like, how is my mom doing it? Who, not to expose her, but has arthritis doing this because it's so crazy. And my poor mom, there's sometimes she has a hard time walking. And I'm like, Miss Ma'am, I'm not even married. You don't have a grandchild. You cannot act like someone who has like five grandchildren. No, thank you. And I'm not gonna lie, like a couple days ago, I had a freaking meltdown. Okay, maybe my mom should not listen to this episode, but like I started crying, triggered by an Instagram reel, of course. Who am I scrolling at night? But it was talking about just gratitude about parents, also just them passing. And I know I'm being dramatic and I shouldn't bring this up so lightly like this, but oh my goodness. I'm not joking. I like completely like lost it. And I was like crying and God, you need to promise me something that she will be here for a while, okay? Like please, like you gotta this is not a test I want to walk through yet or think about. And so I had just this whole moment where, first of all, so grateful for my parents that I even have a heart that I would want my parents to be around for this long. Yes, I mentioned my mom, but because she's my emotional support and I love my dad too, I promise. But oh my goodness, I realize how much more I need to value our time. Just because I'm moving 2 hours away, I'm like, oh, it's just 2 hours away, it'll be fine. I'll see them once in a while. But no, it's these moments I get to spend time with her, working beside her. I need to treasure that,
Yeah, you
you
won't get
know?
them back. Mhm.
Oh no, I can't. So,
I
just crazy.
know. Well, because when on the podcast, we talk a lot about adulting, and because
Hmm.
it's been very relevant to us. We've been adulting for the past 3, 4 years. And in that, there was none of that really consisted of like, oh, taking care of other people. It was like, no, we got to figure out our crap,
Yes.
like we got to stand on our 2 feet, get help from parents. But no, eventually we just got to be independent and figure it
Yes.
out. But I'm sure in a decade or two, we're going to experience a whole new level of quote unquote adulting, in that, oh, adulting also means you start taking care of other people. I'm sure it'll
Yeah.
hit when you have a kid. But on top of that, thinking about, yeah, your
Oh
parents
man.
retiring and wanting to, I don't know, settle down somewhere and
Ugh,
not be on the mission field.
that's so
And
crazy.
man, those are thoughts that I'm like, let's not get there yet. But the
No.
reality is, time moves so much faster when you're older.
Yeah.
And so it's just going to be like a switch, and then boom, it's time.
It's hitting me so hard because like a couple days ago, someone asked my mom, like, "Oh, when did you have yehna?" And she was like 25, and I'm like, chokes and dies. Freaking, I'm 25 right now, and it just like dawned on me, I'm like, this woman, this little girl, had to figure out how to raise a child at my age.
That's
I
crazy.
barely had know how to keep 3 meals down, like what? It's very startling. I'm like, did I need to know all this? No, I don't think so. This is too much. And so just wow, how much my mom had to adult
Hmm.
with a child in her hand. And just thinking about that, it gets me. It gets me. I'm not crying because it's the podcast, but it would. If I was talking to Jessie alone, that would have gotten me all choked
Oh,
up
yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then when I think about that too, I think of some of my best friends who don't have a parent or both parents. And I'm like, man, that's not an experience that you can go through. Man, I
Mm-hmm.
also grieve for that too. Because as much as I'm grieving my parents aging, like I get to witness, I get to be a part of that with
Yeah.
them, and realizing that that's a blessing in itself. As much as it's painful, it's still a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
So even thinking about that, oh man, life is just so weird and it's happening so fast all at once. And just trying to like grasp onto these moments, you know?
We're at definitely at a weird time because we're hitting mid 20s where we kind of are settling into our role.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're settling, life is like switching up on us. As in like, oh my good, I don't even know how to explain because I don't know all that's happening. Oh my goodness. I don't know. My brain is like having a little bit of a little crisis moment right now. But just all that to say, I think what it comes down to, not to always put a bow on it because the reason I have to put a bow on it is because this is ongoing and I cannot think 10 years down the road. But really, it's just like, wow. Just like Jesse said, the gratitude I have in knowing I have parents who pray for me and
Mm,
grieve with me if something were to happen or rejoice with me or excite almost like more excited for me when new opportunities arise or for example a couple days ago or not a couple days ago a couple weeks ago just we were talking about faith and overall how it's kind of talking in relations to TCK how a lot of times we witness people fall from our faith because there's just so much hurt
mm,
and my mom just like sitting there and saying I am just so the greatest gift that I've received is knowing that all three of my children have a faith in the Lord. And I just like sit
mm,
there and I know that just feels cliche for a parent to say or something like that, but what I felt in that moment was wow, the amount of surrender my parents had to go through
mm,
to say, Lord, here's my child, they're yours. Because clearly we have no idea what we're doing. So it's just like reminded me of Hannah when she was like, Lord, just give me a son or like a child, and I will surrender them back to you. And so when Solomon was born, or Samuel, oh my days, Samuel was born, she like brought him back to the temple and gave him back to the Lord.
mm. All that to say, man, we love our parents. We're still going to soak every moment of being taken care of, but also just, yeah, feeling grateful and realizing that life is happening and
Hmm.
that we want to not miss the moment and just really be present in it.
I am learning, trying. For those of you who, if this reminds you of a parent or someone who has been a parent figure to you all, I think it's a little reminder to send a little text saying, "We love you." If that's awkward, still send it. Just kidding. Sorry.
Great advice.
You know? Anyway, but thank you for listening. What a fun time. What a fun time to be alive. Anyway, we're on Spotify and on YouTube and on Instagram. Can't wait to share more on our next episode. Bye.
Bye.